reversed the result of your fight.
Yeah.
Should they reverse the result of that fight as well?
Just depends. Like if that changes the whole fight, if that gives Roach a victory, give him the victory. That's how you keep the integrity of the sport, right? That's why they suspended me, right?
Tank seems tired of the mockery over taking a knee in the Roach fight. Now he's firing back, but the backlash hasn't stopped, and Gervonta Davis is feeling the heat.
Gervonta Tank Davis, GTD, and I don't mean got the draws, went up against Lamont Roach. Let me tell you something. Tank got spanked. Roach should have won. And Tank even dropped to his knee. It should have been called.
And now, it's not just him. A new interview with referee Willis has surfaced, adding more fuel to the fire. Things are getting even more intense. Let's get you caught up.
That fight to Roach, in your opinion?
Yeah, in my opinion, it was a draw. He take a knee. And plus the corner go.
The same fans who once cheered his name and the same analysts who called him boxing's most dangerous puncher are now using a single moment to tear Tank down. The internet has been ruthless, memes are everywhere, and suddenly, everyone has an opinion on what happened in that ring. Meanwhile, the New York State Athletic Commission is still reviewing Steve Willis's handling of the fight, making things even more interesting. Just hours ago, Tank had enough. Frustrated, he fired back, saying, "Boxing is trash. Look at everyone bashing me. They're the same ones who bet on me." He didn't hold back, calling out the sport's fickle nature. In boxing, you lose once or have a bad night, and suddenly, everyone forgets everything and just focuses on that shitty night.
Happened against Shakur Stevenson. I hear more about Shakur Stevenson after this fight than I hear about Lamont Roach, which I think is sad.
He isn't wrong. Ever since the fight, the conversation hasn't been about his career, his power, or his dominance. It's been about that moment. The moment he took a knee. The moment Steve Willis hesitated. The moment Lamont Roach Jr. was arguably robbed of a legitimate knockdown. Suddenly, the narrative around Tank has shifted. The same people who once called him unstoppable are now questioning his vulnerability. Fighters who used to avoid mentioning his name are now taking shots, acting like this is their chance to challenge him. And perhaps the biggest insult? People are actually suggesting that Shakur Stevenson could walk right through him now.
Question is about Gervonta Davis's power. What is his power like? Is he as hard a puncher as he's made out to be? If the best name that somebody could give me of somebody that he knocked out is a little dude who was at his, fourth weight? I can't read too much in there.
That's what really set Tank off. "I lost focus in there, but that doesn't mean SHT, he snapped. "I'll get back up, and we'll see what everyone says. I'll put all of them down." It's clear that Tank isn't just reacting to the Roach fight, he's responding to the disrespect. He sees the analysts, the fans, and the fighters taking shots at him, and he's making it known that he's not backing down. But while Tank deals with the backlash, the debate over the fight itself is still raging. The ProBox TV panel discussion made one thing clear: what happened in that ring was a disaster. Veteran boxing writer Dan Rafael didn't hold back, saying, "That bad night by Willis cost Lamont Roach a championship, deprived him of handing America's top fighter his first loss. A lot went wrong, and it was all against Lamont Roach."
Yeah, I think I won the fight. Now, granted, 9th round should have been called a knockdown. Two judges on the official scorecards gave him the round 10-9. If that was a knockdown, I win the round 10-8. That's a 3-point.
Jack Rice, a respected former referee, along with trainer Stephen Bradman Edwards and former champions Chris Algieri and Paulie Malignaggi, were all in agreement. Roach's knockdown should have been called. The way Willis handled the situation raised too many questions. First, there was the hesitation, then the fact that Tank turned his back and walked to his corner mid-round. And in the middle of all this, Tank's trainer, Calvin Ford, was allowed to step up and wipe his face with a towel. How does that happen? Malignaggi asked during the panel. How does a fighter just walk to his corner, get his face wiped, and the ref does nothing? That's insane.
You lost that fight. I mean, the only reason they gave you the fight was because you would make more money as a champion, but there's no way it's a draw, and they didn't call it a knockdown. If they called a knockdown, you lost.
Now, ProBox TV founder Gary Jonas, who also advises Roach, is pushing for the New York State Athletic Commission to overturn the results. He has officially filed an appeal, arguing that Roach should be declared the winner. His reasoning? The knockdown was clear. Tank turned his back mid-fight, and Calvin Ford illegally stepped onto the ring apron. Any one of those things should have been enough for Willis to take a point. People make mistakes, but this always seems to favor the other side, Bradman Edwards pointed out. It's a statement many fans agree with. When Tank was the undefeated superstar, everything went his way. But now, with a moment of weakness, everyone wants to talk about how boxing protects its biggest stars. Malik Nagy wasn't holding back either. You cannot call your own timeout, he said bluntly. That's not how this works.
1 foot out, you're going to get in the ring and you're going to have that moment where you know you got to step it up and it just won't come. I think that's what happened.
What do you think about him taking the knee at that point?
I think that
should it have been ruled?
While the commission is busy reviewing the fight, Tank is focused on something else, revenge. He sees what's happening. He knows that if he had knocked out Roach early, none of this would be a conversation. He understands that the same analysts criticizing him now would be praising his power if things had gone differently. And let's not forget the fighters circling around him. Shakur Stevenson wasted no time throwing shade, implying that Tank's performance proves he can't hang with pure boxers. Ryan Garcia, of course, couldn't resist getting involved, clowning Tank on Twitter and saying, "Not so scary anymore, huh?"
He won the fight personally. Yeah, the no knockdown, that was like unheard of. It was the first time I've ever seen it with my own 2 eyes. And
even Devin Haney, who has had his fair share of words with Tank, made sure to remind everyone that real champions don't take knees. Tank isn't just hearing this, he's taking notes. For him, this is personal now. This isn't about whether the knee should have been counted as a knockdown. It's about proving that one shaky night doesn't erase everything he's accomplished. He's always been known as the most dangerous puncher in the division, and he plans to remind the world exactly why. "I'll put all of them down," he repeated.
I'm not sure, bro. I'm definitely not sure, but hopefully we could get it before. Nah, it probably won't be this year.
Is that the one you want next?
There's already talk of a rematch with Roach, but at this point, that doesn't seem like enough for Tank. He's looking beyond Roach. He wants to shut up every single person who's spoken on his name. He wants to erase this moment from history with a knockout so brutal that nobody ever brings up the Roach fight again. But the reality is, this controversy isn't going anywhere. Even if the New York Commission doesn't overturn the fight, this will be a stain on Tank's legacy, at least for now. Fighters like Floyd Mayweather, Canelo Alvarez, and even Muhammad Ali all had moments where they were doubted, but the difference was how they responded. Tank's response? He's making it clear that this isn't the downfall people think it is. If anything, this is just the beginning of his next chapter. And if history has taught us anything, it's that a pissed-off Gervonta Davis is the most dangerous version.
When Tank did that when he took the knee, what you think when he took the knee?
I can't speak.
Can't speak on that?
Can't.
He did some book though?
I can't speak.
No personal opinion, nothing?
Can't. Especially you.
However, even though Tank hates it, criticism is still coming his way from the biggest voices in boxing. Every day, the debate over his controversial moment grows louder, with more fighters, analysts, and even officials weighing in. The controversy isn't dying down, it's getting worse. Now, the latest twist is adding even more fuel to the fire. A video has emerged of referee Steve Willis being confronted about his handling of the situation. The clip, which quickly went viral, showed a fan catching Willis off guard, demanding answers about why he didn't score a knockdown when Tank dropped to one knee. The fan didn't hold back, calling Tank's move some B, while Willis, clearly uncomfortable, refused to comment. "I can't speak on that," Willis said. The fan pushed again. "Can't speak on that? He did some B though." Willis shut it down. "I can't speak on it. I can't."
Everybody had an off night. Yeah, I had a fucking off night. We're fucking through. Everyone had the fucking off night. It's fucking boxing. Yeah.
You want to run that back with Cruz or what?
That response only made things worse. Many fans see it as an admission that Willis knows he made a mistake, but refuses to acknowledge it publicly. The fact that the referee who made the call is dodging the conversation is giving Roach's team even more reason to push for an overturned result. The fight itself ended in a majority draw. One judge scored it 115 to 113 for Davis, while the other two scored it 114 to 114. But now, with so much pressure mounting, there's a real possibility that the outcome could be changed. The WBA's president, Gilberto Mendoza Jr., has already made it clear where he stands. Let me repeat, taking a knee without a punch shall be ruled a knockdown. It affected the result of the fight.
Davis take a knee, and should he have been deducted a point and in the end lost that fight to Roach, in your opinion?
Yeah, in my opinion, if it was a draw, he take a knee. And plus the corner go up and put it a towel in the face, that's a disqualification for sure. I'm talking about the rules. But
And it wasn't just Mendoza Jr. who thought Roach deserved the win. Fighters like Terence Crawford and Ryan Garcia immediately spoke out, saying the wrong man had his hand raised. But the biggest bombshell yet came when Canelo Alvarez jumped into the conversation, and his words were even harsher. Speaking on Abrin in the morning, the undisputed super middleweight champion didn't just say that Tank should have lost the round. He said he should have been disqualified. He took a knee. You need to lose like 10-8 that round at least, Canelo said. And plus, the corner went up and put a towel in his face. That's disqualification for sure. I'm talking about the rules.
I mean, look, he wasn't hurt. There's no doubt about that. But if you take a knee in the fight and you touch down, whilst punches are being thrown, it has to be a knockdown. I've heard some people saying, "Oh, that he should be disqualified. He went back to the corner." I don't buy that, to be honest with you. I mean, I think that's a warning, but it's a bit of a bizarre situation for me.
For a fighter of Canelo's caliber to come out and say that Tank should have been disqualified is massive. It's not just about scoring anymore. It's about whether Tank should have even been allowed to continue the fight. If the referee had called the rules strictly, Roach might have walked away with a stoppage win. Tank's excuse for taking a knee has only added to the controversy. His own hairstylist, who styled his hair before the fight, posted on Instagram that the products used wouldn't have caused such an issue. The post was quickly deleted, but screenshots are now circulating online. And the backlash doesn't stop there. The New York State Athletic Commission has confirmed that they attempted to use instant replay to review the 9th round, but were unable to due to a technical issue. According to their statement, during the round in question, following the Commission's request for the replay video, there was a technical issue preventing the Commission from receiving it within the allotted time for review. Therefore, the referee's in-ring decision was relied upon, and the fight continued. That explanation isn't sitting well with a lot of people. If an instant replay system exists but wasn't working when it mattered most, what's the point? This isn't the first time NYSAC has been questioned over their handling of a controversial fight, and this latest situation is adding to the distrust fans already have toward the system.
Fight happening again. It just will not happen. Gervonta Tank Davis doesn't like hard fights. It's that simple. We've seen it over and over. He fought a Ryan Garcia drained. He fought a very inexperienced Rolly Romero. He will not fight Devin Haney. He will not fight Shakur. He will not fight Pitbull Cruz.
Roach's team isn't letting this go. They have now officially sent a letter to NYSAC demanding that the fight result be overturned. Their argument is simple. Tank voluntarily took a knee, and the referee failed to call it a knockdown. That alone would have changed the outcome of the fight. But beyond that, Calvin Ford stepping into the ring mid-round should have resulted in either a point deduction or disqualification. Roach and his team believe that when all these factors are considered together, there's no way Tank should have kept his belt. Even Tank's own fans are struggling to defend him. Some argue that the fight was close enough that Roach winning the 9th round 10-8 wouldn't have guaranteed him a victory. Others claim that even if it was ruled a knockdown, Tank would have found a way to win in the later rounds. But those arguments are getting drowned out by the overwhelming criticism that just won't stop.
Fortunate, but if there was some outside factor that did get into his eye, I don't know. You're walking on a gray line, and that's when things aren't necessarily black or white. So
to make matters worse for Tank, former referee Jack Rice, one of the most respected officials in boxing, has publicly said that the wrong call was made. Speaking on ProBox TV, Rice was blunt. It should have been a knockdown, no question about it. The fighter voluntarily went down, and under the rules, that's a knockdown. Rice also pointed out that the moment Tank took a knee, the fight should have paused. Instead, chaos erupted with Tank walking to his corner and getting wiped down, and the referee allowing the fight to continue as if nothing happened. This was a mess, Rice said. It wasn't handled correctly at all.
Stop closing up. Gotta let it go. Keep turning, step around. Keep turning.
For the first time in his career, Tank isn't in full control of his own narrative. The fans, the analysts, and even his fellow fighters are now dictating the conversation. And if the commission does decide to overturn the result, it could be one of the biggest scandals in modern boxing history. Devin Haney has also joined the growing list of fighters who believe Lamont Roach Jr. deserved to have his hand raised. The former undisputed lightweight champion made it clear that, in his view, Roach not only put up a strong fight but did enough to win outright. Haney's opinion carries weight. He's seen Roach develop since their amateur days, and his assessment further fuels the controversy surrounding the outcome. But it was the 9th-round incident that left Haney, like many in the boxing world, in disbelief. He echoed the sentiment of fans, analysts, and fighters alike. Davis voluntarily took a knee, and it should have been called a knockdown. That was unheard of, Haney said, making it clear that he'd never seen a ruling like that in all his years in boxing. That moment in the 9th round has become the center of the dispute. Davis, clearly struggling, dropped to one knee after Roach's jab, which landed near his eye. Referee Steve Willis, standing just feet away, initially appeared to start a count before hesitating and waving for the action to continue.
The New York State Athletic Commission makes a statement yesterday that they're going to be reviewing Tank Davis versus Lamont Roach, 9th round, knockdown, not a knockdown, whatever, to see what the...
Roach's camp wasted no time in filing an official protest. His attorney, Greg Smith, sent a formal challenge to NYAC Executive Director Matt D'Amelio, demanding that the result be overturned in Roach's favor. Though boxing protests rarely lead to overturned results, the sheer weight of this controversy, coupled with NYAC's admission of technical failure, has raised serious questions about the sport's regulatory process. The impact of the decision, or lack thereof, was clear. Had Willis ruled it a knockdown, Roach would have won a 10-8 round in his favor. That would have flipped the final scores and made him the new WBA lightweight champion.
Rematch clause, how long we take it?
It's up to the A side and when they want to fight. So I'm thinking it's going to be soon. I'm hoping it's going to be soon. Let's say that.
What is soon to you? When you say soon to me, I'm thinking a month.
I'm thinking July.
I'm thinking...
Davis's explanation only added fuel to the fire. It was an excuse that drew widespread skepticism, with even his own hairstylist casting doubt on the claim in a now-deleted Instagram post. Despite all the backlash, the WBA initially defended Willis's decision. The sanctioning body released an article on its website stating that the referee's call was not unreasonable or unjustifiable. The article argued that skeptics were wrong to suggest that Davis benefited from Willis's decision and concluded that no knockdown should have been recorded. The statement only made matters worse as fans, fighters, and analysts erupted over what they saw as blatant favoritism. The backlash forced WBA President Gilberto Mendoza to act. He quickly had the article removed from the website and distanced the organization from its claims. Mendoza then took an unusual step. He personally apologized to Roach and his father via social media. As president of the WBA, I must apologize for the opinion of a collaborator of the website, Mendoza wrote. We believed in you since day one. We knew you would have a marvelous performance and feel proud of you as champion. His direct message to Roach's father carried the same tone, acknowledging the unfairness of the situation while insisting that the WBA had always supported Roach's journey. But apologies weren't enough. The controversy had already reached a boiling point, and Mendoza knew the WBA had to take further action.
I hit him with a little jab or whatever the case. Oh, that ain't nothing. Or if he hit me, or if I block a shot, I was like, oh, too slow. Or, you know what I'm saying, stuff.
The biggest move came when Mendoza publicly announced that he had asked the WBA committee to push for an immediate rematch. I have asked the WBA committee to follow up Lamont Roach Jr.'s direct rematch case closely, Mendoza stated. However, we believe the parties, as expressed in the post-fight interview, will amicably agree to run it again. Davis himself has claimed that he is open to a rematch. However, given the circumstances, many doubt his sincerity. If a rematch were to happen, Roach's team would likely push for a different referee, given how costly Willis's decision proved to be. So subscribe to not miss any updates.